I can't hear you.
You can't?
No.
We can't.
Step, walk into the
Okay.
middle here and then.
The room is very reverberating.
Thanks, yeah, right. Hi. It's going to take me a minute or two because I got a couple of points I want to make, but I won't go into them. First of all, I want to say I'm a big fan. I've been reading your stuff online, and I bought the book and studied it carefully. I bought all the records. And I really appreciate what you do. And what drew me originally was, I first went to Palestine in 2002, and I went to Gaza, and I was so horrified. Okay, sorry. And I'm Jewish. I wanted to know where this came from. Where did Zionism come from? And most of the progressive Jews thought it was a perversion, that somehow Zionism had hijacked Judaism, the Jews. And that didn't, I studied history in college, and that didn't seem to be an adequate explanation. And I wanted to know what were the roots in, in the Jewish tradition, and psychology, and theology, and all the rest. And you were one of the few people who was willing to ask that question. And I'll confess, the other one that I read with Israel Shamir was probably the one person in the world who's more got a worse reputation among Jews than you do. But
it's really
right around. Okay, so I like a lot of. I agree with a whole lot of what you say, but I feel like sometimes you, perhaps because your training is in philosophy and because your personality is argumentative, you like to define lines and then fight and attack the people who disagree. For instance, the question of the use of apartheid and colonialism and stuff, those are analogies. Like most analogies, they have some truth and in some ways they're different.
I agree.
So it seems to me it would make more sense to elucidate the ways that they're correct and the ways that they're not correct. Rather than fighting with the people who use those terms. That would move the conversation forward. And one more point,
okay.
that'll stop.
Okay.
The use of the term Jewishness, it seems to me that a lot of the grief that you get, mostly from people who haven't read the book, or haven't read it carefully, is around the word Jewishness.
Sure.
And it seems to me that if you had used the term, say, Jewish tribalism, or chosenness, or some other term, and then you could explain it in all the same ways that you explain Jewishness, but the term itself wouldn't be a kind of red flag that Jewishness is.
Three very important questions.
Okay, last thing. My real problem with these creating these arguments that I think are unnecessary is that they distract attention from the issue of the Palestinians onto you, and you get people arguing about you and what's wrong with you and whatever instead of paying attention to the real struggle.
Okay, listen, these are very, very important questions. These are very, very important points. To start with, Zionism is not Judaism, Judaism is not Zionism. I see slogans and people. I've never heard any of those secular Marxists or progressive explaining why Zionism is not Judaism and vice versa. I myself find it very easy to explain why Zionism is not Judaism, because it's very different categories. One is a political ideology, and the other one is a religious spiritual code. Funny enough, and it will be on my website tonight or tomorrow morning, and I never seen this document before. In 1942, more or less the time the Nazis decide upon the final solution as we believe, 1942, 757 American rabbis signed the petition. Did anyone here come across this petition? You saw it because, But did you know about it before? No. It's shocking. 1942, 757. By far, it is in the declaration. It says it's definitely the biggest collective statement by rabbis in the history of Judaism. And they say Zionism is Judaism. And they say Zionism is the implementation of Judaism. This is not Gilad Atzmon. This is 757 American rabbis. This statement will be on my website. I think that it's revolutionary, because we like to think that only in 1967 the American jury decided to go with Israel, and some people say maybe in 1948. This is in 1942, before it was clear what is happening in Germany, in Europe. Now, what is the similarity between Zionism and Judaism? Very, very interesting. And I touch it in my book, and I think that it's very important. Judaism was born in Babylon in conditions that are very similar to European 19th century. Babylon, a very easy assimilation. There is a danger that the Jews are about to disappear. They invent Judaism, i.e. Yahadut, as we know it. And they build a new philosophy, new religious philosophy, that attach the Jews, connect the Jews to a different place and to different time. And by doing so, they invent a new exilic, from exile, religion. And this is what Judaism is as we know it. They plant the homecoming, the yearning. The Jews never see himself as part, the Jew identified with Judaism, as part of the surrounding society. He is always kind of temporarily there, because eventually he will go home. But this is the tragedy of Zionism. Because when he goes home, he doesn't know what to do. Because the religion, the ethos, is about being in exile. So it takes 40, 50 years, and they build around themselves the biggest ghetto walls in the history of the Jewish people. Because their philosophy is in a mess. It doesn't fit into the reality. Zionism was there to go to your home, alleged, your home, and to celebrate the beauty of it, the nature, the olive trees. And what did they do? They destroyed the indigenous people, they destroyed the land, and they shred it with humongous, sinister walls. Now, next. You are totally right. If Joseph Massad would have said, Israel is colonial, Israel has elements of colonialism or elements of apartheid, I would agree with him. But if we are a real political scientist, and by the way, I think that one of the biggest problems that we have in the Palestinian solidarity discourse and in the progressive discourse in general is that we have zero intellectual commitment. We don't have scholars. We have killed all our scholars. I'm probably the only one because I'm unkillable. And I'm unkillable because I decided not to work in university. I'm working now in 2 universities, but I don't tell you what, so you cannot destroy me. So she's in the camera. Take a I'm teaching in 2 universities philosophy, but it's a secret. Even the students don't know that I am me. No, they know. Why it is so important to know what we talk about it precisely. If I have a headache for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I go to the doctor. The symptoms are clear. It could be migraine, and it could be brain cancer. Guess what? I want the doctor to come with the right diagnosis. Because I really don't want to go into chemotherapy if I can take some pills for migraine. You agree? So if my problem is Jewish racism or colonialism, I want to deal with the right disease. Because if it's Jewish racism, let's say it. So at least the Israelis know that we think that they are racist. But at the moment, we cannot even say it. So we cannot even blame the Israelis for not doing anything because we don't tell them anything.